first item on the agenda when it comes to online shopping. Are you one of those people whose delivery ended up in your neighbour's garden? Oh, perhaps even worse. It ended up behind the bin or even in the bin, and then the waste people took it away, chucked it. Perhaps you received a photo of your parcel delivered, but that wasn't my house, pal. Try and explain that to your retailer. And maybe you had to play detective to track down your missing parcels. If you said yes or even nodded your head a little bit to all of those, then you're not alone. More than a third of online shoppers, 15 million people, have experienced a problem with a parcel delivery in the last month. It's only going to get worse as we head towards Christmas. We asked these people for their experiences.
Well, mainly when they throw it over the fence or they don't leave it in a safe place, and it's awful really, because obviously normally you get a notification as well saying that it's been delivered, and with Christmas coming up, obviously you can understand a lot of presents, you want to make sure it's safe.
I had a parcel and someone took out my clothes and put old second-hand clothes in the back. It wasn't a problem, but I had a parcel delivered to me from Boots, which gave me a hamper and a very expensive bottle of perfume, which were addressed to me, came to me, which I did not order.
Just putting them in the wrong place, I would say. Putting them in the bin when it's been, like, dirty and full, or chucked at the back of the garden. And it's when it's fragile stuff, so it's not good.
If I was to encourage anyone to avoid problems with parcel deliveries, and that is to shop local.
Well, he's got a point, that bloke at the end, perhaps. Scott Dixon is a consumer expert who hosts the Facebook page The Complaints Resolver. Oh, we all need a Scott Dixon in our lives. Fortunately, we have one. He's on the line this morning. Hello, Scott.
Yeah, good morning, Malcolm. How are you?
Morning. I'm all right. This is a real problem, isn't it?
It is, and I mean, it's a perennial problem all year round, and the biggest myth I hear is, oh, I can't contact the courier, I can't find the courier, and this, that, and the other. But your contract is always with the retailer. That's what you need to remember, because the retailer has engaged the courier to deliver the goods to you. And under Section 29 of the Consumer Rights Act 2015, the goods remain at the trader's risk until they come into the physical possession of the consumer or a person identified by the consumer to take possession of the goods. And if you've designated a safe place and the goods have gone missing, that's your responsibility because the courier has followed your instructions. But if that's not the case, you need to speak to the trader and make your problem theirs, because they need to speak to the courier and sort things out for you.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bit dodgy then, nominating a safe place. If you've nominated the safe place and the courier's put it in the safe place, then you might be on less safe ground, yeah?
That's right, because the courier has followed your instructions, and if the goods have gone missing, that's on you, unfortunately. So it's something to be aware of. But if you have had a delivery problem, speak to the retailer, and what they need to do is liaise with the courier and try and find out where the package is. And if they can't find it, they need to send it again.
Yeah.
And if you reach an impasse and you can't resolve things with the retailer, what you can do is speak to your bank and raise what's called a chargeback, and that's disputing the transaction. And I'll put a caveat in this, give the retailer a chance to resolve it first before you raise a chargeback, because chargebacks are problematic and costly for retailers to deal with. But it's a good tool to have if all else fails. And what happens is the bank puts themselves in your shoes and takes it up with the retailer, reverses the transaction, and gives the retailer an opportunity to present their case as to why they're entitled to your money.
Now, we all know that these parcel delivery men and women are, well, rushed, if that's a correct way of putting it. They have their job to do and they have lots and lots of parcels to deliver in a certain time. But are there rules in terms of ringing the bell, for example, in terms of making sure you're in before they go?
They should give people an opportunity to actually answer the door. And what I would suggest is, if you are vulnerable and you need that extra time, put that in the instructions to the retailer so they can put a note on the package to the courier, so the courier is aware that you need extra time to answer the door and things like that. So it is something that it is a big problem, because the courier firms, the engaged delivery drivers who are usually self-employed, and they only get paid X amount per package. So, and that's the reason why they often just throw them over the fence and leave them on doorsteps. And it's completely wrong because, you know, they're not following the instructions properly under the Consumer Rights Act 2015. And what I would suggest is if you do raise a chargeback, stress breach of contract under the Consumer Rights Act 2015, because you've got to push hard, and banks often reject their chargeback claims on the first attempt. So it's something that you need to consider as well if you're struggling to resolve it with the retailer.
Great advice. Have you had any nightmares parcel-wise, Scott?
I haven't personally, but my neighbour upstairs has. She works full time, and I work from home. So I've had cases where her packages have been thrown over my garden gate, and I've even, as strange as it sounds, she gets toilet rolls delivered online, and it was chucking it down with rain. And I called the courier firm, the driver. He was about to leave it on our doorstep, a box of toilet rolls, and I said, like, what are you thinking of, you know? But I was talking in a foreign language to him, and I took the delivery in. But if that package had been left out in the rain, she could have took it up with the retailer. And the problem is, Malcolm, consumers are reluctant to complain when things go wrong because they don't like making a fuss. Yeah. But by complaining effectively, you're not only getting things resolved for yourself, but you're raising standards for everybody else. And that's what the difference between complaining effectively and just moaning about things and not doing anything about it.
Great advice. Thank you, Scott. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome, Malcolm. Thanks very much.
It's all right. Scott Dixon, a consumer expert, he hosts a Facebook page, The Complaints Resolver. It sounds as if he's got all the tools he needs under his belt.